Federal government injects $311 million Abuja loot into the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. Central Bank of Nigeria tells 4 regional banks to nationalize. The World Bank says unreliable power supply is costing Nigeria over 10 trillion naira annually. The program is Business Express, and we're reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. And in the course of the program, we shall be discussing the current position of the PPPRA on the pump price of petrol. I am Muplang Dakok. The federal government has released $311 million Abuja loot to the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA, to fund its activities. Managing Director of NSIA, Uche Oji, who made this disclosure at a virtual meeting with the press to discuss the authority's 2019 financial statement, said the money is domiciled with the Central Bank of Nigeria in a special account. Oji said the NSIA hopes to start using the money in the third quarter of 2020 on some critical infrastructure projects like the Second Niger Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, among others. In 2019, the NSIA recorded a 5% growth in total assets from 617.7 billion naira in 2018 to 649.84 billion naira. It also recorded a profit after tax of 34.46 billion naira for the 2019 financial period. Now, last week, the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, announced it is no longer fixing the pump price of premium motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, for marketers. PPPRA Executive Secretary Saidu Abdul Kadir said the agency would constantly, on a monthly basis, develop a guiding price for the commodity with which it would advise marketers. He noted that the deregulation of the downstream sector was dependent on the enforcement of appropriate laws by strong regulatory agencies, hence its continued intervention. This new directive is the focus of our discussion on this edition of Business Express. How will it affect you and me? I'm being joined by Olashupo Abaje, the General Manager, Gas and Renewable Energy of the Petroleum Products Pricing and Regulatory Agency, PPPRA. It's a pleasure having you on Business Express.
Thank you, madam. My pleasure to be here.
All right. So Nigeria has moved from fixing the prices of PMS to deregulating the sector. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, it's my pleasure to be here. And it's good to say that price fixing is associated with regulation, is associated with subsidies, is associated with limitation in the operating environment in the oil and gas sector, is associated with policies and programs that limit potentials, investment potentials, and all related activities in the downstream sector of Nigeria's oil and gas industry. So effectively, what happened on March 18, I'm referring to the pronouncement by the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, was a freeing up of the sector as far as PMS is concerned, so that the sector can blossom, so that the sector can thrive, so that investments can come into the sector, so that market forces, the forces of demand and supply that determine products pricing, supply and distribution worldwide can apply as far as PMS is concerned. So what happened on March 18 was a fundamental shift from complete price control and regulation to freedom for operators to go out there into the business, source products, bring them into the system, and sell at reasonable profit margins, thereby providing options to Nigerians and at the same time giving the consumer the best value for money.
Okay.
So it was effectively a liberalization of the operating environment for PMS and effectively a full deregulation of the PMS market and indeed the downstream sector in Nigeria.
Okay, so can you tell us what exactly is the position of your agency on the pricing of petroleum products, and then also if the coronavirus pandemic has affected prices?
Okay, so under this new system, what we do as PPPRA is examine the market, the fundamentals of the market on a monthly basis, and then we take the average of the previous month and set and look at it based on all the parameters in agreement with operators and other key stakeholders. We set a benchmark for using the margins, using the parameters of the previous month. We set the margins for the new month, which lasts for 30 days. This basically takes into consideration all necessary market fundamental parameters that the marketers ordinarily will take into consideration. And we monitor the pricing, ensure that marketers abide by, comply with the guided prices that we set, and basically that is what we do now.
Okay.
Because it has always been our desire to see this market get to this level. We've been on this for quite a while. It's been a long time coming, but I think this is the time that the downstream sector, specifically as it relates to PMS and other products, will actually experience blossoming because marketers are free to bring in these products and sell.
Okay, can you give us the exact prices that you have set?
So now, for the month of July, we have provided a guiding price. It's a band between 140.8 and 143.8. That's the guiding price for the month of July.
So very quickly, Nigerians were very happy when the pump price of petrol came down to 123.
Yeah.
And then they now have to, bear with having to buy at 143 or 140, between 140 and 143, like you said. Many Nigerians are not happy about it. What exactly necessitated this action?
Well, you see, these are some of the issues associated with the liberalization process. What you have seen, we have seen prices come down from as high as 145 to 125. We have seen it move from 125 to 123. We have seen prices move to 121, and so that is the beauty of the regulation. We no longer fix prices. We set guiding price based on market fundamentals, based on the forces of market demand and supply, and these prices are put together following a very tedious process that is very transparent and open to the world to see.
Is this what Nigeria needs at this time, being that Nigerians are still, battling with the impact of the coronavirus?
Absolutely, more than any other time. I think this is what we need at this time.
Okay.
Because over the years, we have had to expend billions and even at times trillions of naira on petroleum subsidy. These are monies that would have properly gone into the health sector, into the education sectors. And so there are very many other sectors that are crying for this. And as a result of this subsidy regime, we have had issues of transparency, issues of corruption, issues of accountability. In addition to that, we have had a situation whereby the downstream sector as a whole, growth has been largely stultified because operators cannot go out there and bring in products. So you have potentials for job creation. You have potentials for value creation. You have potential for expansion in infrastructure and facilities all over the country. Mr. President has promised Nigerians, I'm going to provide 100 million jobs for you in the next 4 years. These are the sectors that will contribute to this provision. So what we have done is to unleash the potentials that the downstream sector has for the operators to follow. Okay. And so Nigeria will be the better for it at the end of the day.
Okay. You said the price that is set right now is for the month of July.
Yes.
Do you see the prices coming down after July?
The prices will be determined purely by market forces.
Okay.
It can go up. We have seen it go up. We have seen it come down. It's going to continue to happen because fundamentally, what the position government has taken is that we have said goodbye to subsidy because it is bad for our system. But then, government will not just fold his arms, and allow marketers to reign free in the market. No. We, as PPPRA, as government of this country, will continue to ensure that we are consumer focused and the customer remains king. So at any point in time, Nigerians can be rest assured that they are going to get the best value as far as PPRA is involved in this process. Okay. And it's very important to add, because of these challenges, because of what we are seeing, already government is beginning to go into the area of provision of alternatives and options to Nigerians. So we are going into gas, auto gas, LPG, CNG, LNG. As we speak, we are beginning to have retail outlets that dispense LNG. As we speak, there is one just constructed in Kaduna. 2 more are under construction in Kano. So you are going to have it all over the country. So commercial vehicles, transporters vehicles, trucks cannot have an option. We must not remain a monoproduct sector. Okay. So we want to go into LPG, we want to go into CNG, we want to go into LNG so that we provide options for Nigerians.
Okay, if a Nigerian, a member of the public, buys PMS, that's petrol, at a price that you did not fix, what should such a person do?
We have various mechanisms. In addition to the fact that we have our monitoring teams in place, we also work with various agencies, our sister agencies, the Department of Petroleum Resources, to ensure that monitoring is upscaled. Okay. So we monitor regularly, and when you have any cause to have any form of complaint with any of the retail outlets, please get in touch with PPPRA on our various platforms, and we assure Nigerians that we're going to take action immediately. The PPPRA website is ppra.gov.ng. We're on Facebook, Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency. We are on Twitter at PPPRA Tweets. Our email is info@ppra.gov.ng, and we have telephone numbers that can be put on the screen for Nigerians.
Thank you very much. I think that's about all that we can take. The time is very short, so I guess we'll talk about it some other time.
Thank you very much. It's our pleasure to be here.
Mr. Olashupo Agbaje, who is the General Manager of Gas and Renewable Energy Department of the PPPRA. Thank you so much for your time with us on Business Express.
Thank you, madam. It's my pleasure.
It's more than 100 days since Nigeria first recorded her index case of the coronavirus pandemic, and businesses are struggling to survive. We move to Kaduna, where Mohammed Umar Ajingi has been speaking with an entrepreneur about business on surviving COVID-19.
It all began when he was in school as an undergraduate. Victor Emmanuel, now 35, a graduate of mechanical engineering from Bayero University, Kano, sold yogurt on the street to support himself in school.
And even with my engineering degree, I had to leave that aside completely and became a sales boy. I remember in Mission Road in Benin City. And the demand kept growing even without the certification, which prompted for me to now begin to put all that is needed.
Victor's journey to success, however, began in Kaduna when he established a yogurt and sachet water producing firm after his resignation from a private firm.
The business started with 40,000 naira. 40,000 naira was to buy me half bag of milk, half bag of sugar, buy me the bottles I was going to use as samples, and print the labels and all of that. It was just there.
proceeds from Central Bank COVID-19 cash support boosts his production capacity with additional staff, modern equipment, stable power supply, and improved logistics to convey product to consumers.
COVID was unprecedented. No staff, no money. We're just looking, what next? What next? Who is going to come to your aid? But this intervention fund came, I can't really give words to it, but I would just want to thank, first of all, the government for even conceiving this idea for small business owners, because we're really struggling, most of us. Some of us have to go for very ridiculous high interest monies to be able to do this.
Entrepreneurs like Victor believe that small and medium-scale enterprises are veritable tools for economic growth, with value chains for job creation, revenue generation, and poverty reduction.
This is Business Express reaching you from Abuja. The program continues after this break.
Let me assure Nigerians that all COVID-19 intervention funds are safe in the Treasury single account, and that government is still open to donations in this regard. Government has opened special accounts with 5 commercial banks which are directly linked to the Treasury single account. Donated funds are safe in the Central Bank of Nigeria. For verifiable information about the funds and other financial obligations of the federal government, please contact us directly at the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. The account details for the donations are as follows.
The World Bank, in a new report, says unreliable power supply in Nigeria is causing huge economic losses estimated at 10.1 trillion naira annually. The report noted that transition from a publicly owned to largely privately owned power market, which began in 2013, did not bring the expected outcomes. The report said this had led to a lack of trust between key stakeholders and among the general public with respect to power sector improvement. It said a credible reform process would require an integrated approach of resolving regulatory and policy failures and establishing a credible and fiscally sustainable financing plan by the federal government to ensure full funding for tariff shortfalls, among other measures. Investors lost 257.13 billion naira week on week as the NSE All Share Index dipped by 1.99% last week, deepening the June 2020 loss to 3.12%. Amina Nujem has the market's weekly performance update. We now look at the global market where Asian stocks rose amid positive economic data outweighing coronavirus fears as stocks in US and Europe also rally. Bosede Abel is our guide.
The hike in coronavirus cases over the weekend has continued to hamper on investor sentiment as lockdowns are easing around the world and business reopening. Governments have continued to strive to contain the pandemic. In the United States, Wall Street was coming off strong gains after a shortened trading week due to the July 4th holiday. However, in early trading of 6 July, U.S. stock futures traded higher as the Wall Street tried to build on the drive from last week's solid performance. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures rose 417 points, implying a positive open of around 472 points. S&P futures and Nasdaq futures also traded in positive territory. Stocks in Asia were higher, with shares in mainland China leading regional gains. The Shanghai Composite soared 5.71% to close at 3,332.88. Hang Seng Index saw robust gains and rose 3.81% on the day to 26,339.16, and Nikkei also topped 1.83% to close at 22,714.44. European market bounced as investors focus on the prospect of economic recovery and progress on potential coronavirus drugs. African stock markets were not left out of the bullish territory as most stocks also posted gains, but for Tunisia's Tunidex, which depreciated by 0.17%.
And it was a red start for the market in Nigeria as it started the week in red. The NSE All Share Index recorded a decline of 1.27% to end at 24,026.05 basis points. Market capitalization was 12.5 trillion naira. Volume dropped to 189 million, valued at 2.7 billion naira in 4,216 deals. GT Bank, Access Bank, and UBA were the most active stocks for the day. NACO at 10% led the gainers table, with Better Glass and Julius Berger among top losers in percentage terms. The Central Bank of Nigeria has instructed bidders at its secondary market intervention sales SMIS to increase their bidding price to 380 naira per $1. The official naira exchange rate remains at 360 to the dollar, although the current adjustment may be the beginning of further unification of the exchange rate as canvassed by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank in their advice to the federal government. Let's see how the naira is faring this Monday outside the official window. And this is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube, on NTA's YouTube channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is at NTA News Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag BizX. Remember to always wash your hands with soap under running water as the world battles COVID-19. Business Express returns Tuesday at 9 a.m. on the network service of the NTA. I am Muplang Dakok.